What's been going on is that there is no clarity. Every time the Vatican clarifies something, they seem to be opening up another Pandora's box. There's more confusion.
It is the gift that keeps on giving this Christmas season. The pushback has been insane. I've been covering it all week long. Yesterday, His Eminence Cardinal Fernandez put out a clarifying statement, basically doubling and tripling down. And we talked about that with Bishop Strickland yesterday on the program. But I wanted to point out and get your comment on this, because Fernandez seems to be indicating that no bishop is allowed to dissent essentially from the document. They're not allowed to deny Fiducia Supplicans. But I guess the real question in my mind is, does that mean they're going to get the Traditionis Custodes treatment? Strickland was fired partly because he didn't implement Traditionis Custodes. There were several bishops who didn't. Will bishops get the can or get the apostolic visitation treatment if they don't implement Fiducia Supplicans? What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, I think they're in a real quagmire. They really are. Because if they push this, first of all, what kind of a dictatorship, what kind of a totalitarian regime the whole thing is, that we're so open, and we're so open to the Spirit, and we're so open, and we don't listen to our own bishops who have a more solid interpretation of everything to begin with. They're on excellent theological ground and moral ground. We tolerate nothing that's against us, that we don't agree with. That's not the spirit that I heard this pontificate was going to begin with. It was going to be different. I think what you're seeing is, first of all, they're not going to be able to do it, I don't believe, numerically. There are many bishops who have not pronounced on this matter. And the ones who have pronounced, many of them, as you know, are absolutely against it. They've forbidden it in their diocese. I don't think they're going to go back on that because, again, they stand on perfectly solid moral and theological ground to do this. I think what you're seeing, I may be wrong, but I've been wrong a couple times. I think what you're seeing is the beginning of panic mode in the Vatican. I think they're panicky because this is not the way they had planned it to go. That's all. It's very simple. They had planned it to go otherwise, and it's not going as smoothly as they wish. And they're panicky. And when you panic like this, you see the lack of leadership. You see the lack of direction that's being doled out.
The real question is, what's going to stop all these nefarious actors from using this badly? And are they going to punish those people? And that is the one thing that Cardinal Fernandez doesn't talk about at all.
Well, here, let's just stop and take this piece by piece. The first thing is, and it caused me more than a little smile, nothing has changed.
Right.
Well, my first reaction was, see, they taught me Aristotelian logic too well, and evidently they taught it to you too well also. If nothing has changed, why the document?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Why would you need a document if nothing has changed? This is ridiculous. And nothing has changed so much that we're now threatening to depose bishops of their sees.
Right.
It's bizarre. It is absolutely bizarre. And the problem is that they know it, and so does the world know it. And it's like this, Joe. I liken this to a problem that we have. It's been a long time a brewing, as we used to say in Minnesota about Ham's beer. I think it was Ham's beer or Schlitz, one of the two. Long time a brewing. Here's the deal. Transubstantiation. Has anything changed on transubstantiation, Joseph?
Not that I'm aware of.
Nothing. No. Now, why in the world do you suppose that over 70% of American Catholics who attend Mass, by the way, these are the people who are active, who are practicing Catholics, not the 80% we've lost.
Right.
The 70% who remain don't believe in the real presence. How do you account for that? Nothing has changed in transubstantiation. Could it be the way that we're treating the Eucharist? Could the treatment of the Eucharist be the way? Now, nothing has changed, has it? The doctrine hasn't changed, but everything has changed because we are treating the Eucharist irreverently. Now, the same thing is applicable here, I see anyway. Nothing has changed, but everything has changed. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and this is sly. And this is on Fernandez's. This was his dream, along with the dream of along with Father Martin and others. It's their dream. We have another problem that comes up on this, and I don't think it's being addressed properly, or not addressed properly. I don't think it's even being paid attention to. The Second Vatican Council that we keep hearing about is the goal of everything. The Second Vatican Council's primary goal, from what I understand, was ecumenism. We were trying to ut unum sit, that they all be one, that they be one, right? This was the idea. Well, the people that we were closest to were the Orthodox. Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, all right? This was the deal that we were trying to get to be one with them. We even went so far as to say that they could receive communion in our masses, during our masses, the Orthodox. That was not, it was not reciprocated by the Orthodox for us. However, this is a way to, well, now what do you think is going to happen to the relationship between the Catholic Church and the Orthodox communities?
Well, I've heard that it's taken a huge setback.
Of course. So therefore, ecumenism really isn't all that important, I guess, huh?
I guess not.
For 60 years, we thought this is what our goal was.
Right.
We also have another great example to look at. I talked to Dr. Gavin Ashingen not long ago, a convert. He was an Anglican bishop, the Queen's chaplain, and he left, and he and his wife became Catholics. It's incredible. I had a talk with him, and we both said the same. I asked, and he answered the same way. All you have to do is look at Anglicanism. All the Catholic Church has to do is look at the Episcopalian Church in the United States or the Anglican Church in the United Kingdom, and we can see the result of exactly what they're proposing for us today. It's not good.
No, it's not.
It's just not good. Nothing is good. A lot of things have to change, and I think this may be the pivotal point. I think it's this, Joe, and later on when they have the synod on synods, on synodality, on whatever the Barnum Bailey thing they've got going in Rome is called. When that is called again, they're going to push. Again, this is not coming from the laity, not even coming from the synod, but they're going to push for deaconesses. Oof. And at that point, and that's not going to be anything new. No, they're going to tell you that there's nothing changed here either. Right? Yeah. When between these two things, these two things, I think these two things are pivotal, and there's going to be a declaration of schism in the church. Schism already, I think, practically exists, but it's going to be declared.
You know, things are interesting when George Weigel points out the difficulties in the church. I mean, George Weigel's been kind of a go along to get along think tank guy in the Catholic faith for a long time now. And even he is pointing out how difficult and challenging the times that we live in are. So I use this as what I refer to as the canary in the coal mine. Regis Martin recently calling for the Pope to resign. Ralph Martin has been, pointing out the difficulties and errors in the church that are growing. He's been doing that now for the past few years, really, but he got really intense most recently. These are not radicals. These are not crazy people. These are well-respected, middle ground, often charismatic type of Catholics, and they are pointing out the problem. So it's not just us meanies that are calling this out. So I guess the real question, Father, then is there's a real problem. What do we do about it? How do we live in these times?
Boy, I wish I had a great super answer for you, just to capsulize it. It's not that simple. What we have to do here, let me just put it this way, Joe. Right now, we're living in a conundrum. This is a bad place. A lot of problems, and a lot of ecclesiastical problems. There are things that we have to look at and examine about our own structure as church. And that's going to be answered, I can guarantee it, it's going to be answered in the not too distant future, either in a council or by a fantastic man, an individual, a pope, who's going to straighten things out. I told you, I think the last time, one of the major problem of Vatican I, not Vatican II, but Vatican I in 1870, was that it never really finished. And after they declared papal infallibility, they didn't have time, I think. Well, the Garibaldi and the Masons took over all of Italy, and so that put the kibosh on the council continuing in Rome. They didn't have time to finish, and by not finishing, what they didn't do was put limitations on papal authority. That wasn't spelled out correctly. It wasn't spelled out fully. Let me put it that way. That has to be addressed. And I think by this crisis that we're going through right now, it will be. Every time in the church's history, look, we have 2,000 years of history. I keep saying this to people. The church has been around a lot longer than we have. It goes through periods of crisis constantly. And then it reflects, and then it comes out with a response. And the response is what we hold on to as doctrine, and some of them are dogmas of faith. It clarifies. It clarifies. What's been going on for quite a number of years now is that there is no clarity. There is no clarity. There is more confusion. And everybody's asking, please just clarify. Well, every time the Vatican, so to speak, the Vatican clarifies something, they seem to be opening up another Pandora's box. There's more confusion. This is not the way things are supposed to be running. However, let me just assure you of this. Out of all of that confusion is going to come order, is going to come great clarity. Not tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow, but it's going to be there. It's going to come. All you have to do is look at the other great heresies in the church's history. They were always answered in a council, and the answer was agreed on by everybody, and things ran smoothly again. All of this in our history is going to be looked back, I think, centuries from now, and saying, well, thank God that happened. Thank God that happened, because from that came this. And I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be positive. The church is not going to fold its tent and wander off into the desert and never be heard of again. We're around until the end of the world. We have Christ's word on that. So I think right now, these are painful times. I can't tell you how many priests have called me. I've had bishops call me just recently. Yes. Upset with this whole thing because they don't know what to do. Like I'm going to tell them what to do. Imagine. But it's the thing of sharing a little bit to get any insight you can from anyone who may have some part of the answer. We just have to weather this storm. That's all. We have to weather this storm. Pray like you've never prayed before. Pray for the Holy Father. pray for a reform, for clarification in the very near future, and remain faithful. There's something else too I'd like to push for and remind people: get yourself good catechisms, basic catechisms. The Baltimore Catechism. In Spanish, there are a number of very good catechisms. Those things have not changed. Learn your faith. I think a lot of people, Joe, are having problems right now because they don't know their faith.
Yeah.
They really don't. They went through a lot of motions and everything else, but deep down they didn't understand, or they never learned their faith. You've got to remember also that we have 6 decades of people who are not catechized. It's that simple. Time to learn your faith. Time to pray and learn your faith. Boy, it's amazing, isn't it? How many people have just given up reading completely?
Yeah.
And you know, when you read, Joseph, when you read, you're learning twice. Twice knowledge comes into you. It's much deeper, much stronger. It's not. Sometimes I buy an audiobook while I'm driving to listen to something. At the end of an hour, I can't tell you what the book said. I'm distracted. There's somebody giving. But if I sit down and read, with a little bit of quiet around me, yes, I get it and get it deeper. And I think too, if you look, the people who do study their faith, who do pray, who do have a period during the day of silence, of a little bit of meditation, those are the people who aren't so upset with what's happening right now. Nobody likes what's happening. I'm not saying that, but they're not upset. They're not fretting as much because they know their faith. They know their faith. They know that Christ built his church upon a rock.
Yeah.
And they know that they know that things are going to turn out I do. And I'm give yourself time to think and to learn and to know. And you'll see that no time for despair.
Stanley Walker's on the team, says he's made a pledge to a seminary at a well-known Catholic university. If this seminary and order allow SS blessings, I feel like I can follow through with my pledge. Do you have any? You cannot. Forgive me. I should correct. You feel like you cannot follow through with your pledge. Do you have any advice? I think I would agree with you, Stanley.
Yes, I would agree with him wholeheartedly. Yes, I agree with him. Let me just say something else, Joe, if you would permit me.
Please.
That we are against. Let me just speak for me. I can't speak for everybody. So let me speak for me. That I am against the blessing of homosexual couples or adulterous couples or shacking up couples, irregular. I love the way they would irregular couples. Fine. That doesn't mean that I hate homosexual people and people who are living in Christ. I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have friends who are homosexuals. I mean, we have dinner every once in a while. You try to get them onto the right road, regardless.
Yeah.
It's not that we hate all these people. We don't hate them. We cannot approve of the way that they're living. We do not hate them.
Exactly.
And that's really important to get through, because this is being taken as we are homophobes and we are homo haters. That's not true at all. At all.
Right.
I worked for years in New York with Courage. Right. I do not hate these people. I'm as a matter of fact, they inspired me. Some of them.
Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.